40, and here's what we read. And he said, how shall we picture the kingdom of God, or by what parable shall we present it? It is like a mustard seed, which, when sown upon the soil, though it is smaller than all the seeds that are upon the soil, yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes larger than all the garden plants and forms large branches, so that the birds of the air can nest under its shade. With many such parables, he was speaking the word to them so far as they were able to hear it. And he did not speak to them without a parable, but he was explaining everything privately to his own disciples. So as we dig into this, I just want to let's be clear. We want to define the kingdom of God. So just real quick, it is God's rule among God's people. So this is what we're talking about. And look what he's doing. He's saying, all right, this rule, God's rule among his people, it's going to start out small. It's like a mustard seed. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a mustard seed. Not really big, not really impressive. But look what he says. Over time, it grows larger. It gets bigger than other things, and it actually has branches. It doesn't become a tree, but it's big enough. Look what he says, so that the birds of the air can nest under its shade. Now, if you notice here in this text, those last words, the birds of the air can nest under its shade. Those are all caps. And if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we said, hey, when you see something in all caps, that means he's quoting or alluding to the Old Testament. And so, what is he getting at here? Well, he's pointing at Ezekiel 17:23, kind of borrowing from that. And the point in Ezekiel is that God is going to establish King David's rule and reign, his line in his kingdom. Now, again, really want to bring it down really simple. David is the one God has promised to send his heir who will reign forever. And that's Jesus. Jesus is the one who is David's heir, the son of David, who will sit upon his throne and who will rule the nations. So this is a big picture idea. God is fulfilling that in Jesus. And so there's a lot more there. I wish we had time to really dig into it. We don't. We only have our time is basically halfway gone at this point. But what we're getting at and what Jesus is getting at, he says, look, right now things are small. This is on a really small level. Like, right, guys, we are a couple of guys going around Galilee right now. We don't have a lot of people. But he says, just wait. God's going to do his work and he's going to grow it. And we see this starting really after Jesus' death. We see this in the book of Acts. We see it throughout the rest of the New Testament. And ultimately, we're going to see it culminate in the end when Jesus rules and reigns over all his people. He establishes his kingdom there. And so we have this big picture. And what he's encouraging us to look to is God fulfilling his purposes. He's always going to do it. Now, I wish we had to get into the ways that we could say God doesn't fulfill them in the way that maybe we think he should, or the way that we would expect him to, but he does fulfill them. He always brings them to fruition. And this is what he's doing in the life of Jesus. He is working his whole plan out bit by bit, ultimately to draw more people to himself, to bring the nations to know and to love and to bow down to Jesus Christ. That's what God's doing. And so it's going to start small. It's going to start small here, right there around Galilee. It's going to be around Jerusalem, but it's going to be a worldwide mission, and it will be completed. So, question that we always ask, what does this tell us about God? Well, it tells us that I'm going to let you answer this one on your own too, but I want to just kind of throw this out here. It tells us that God really is about bringing his purposes to pass. And it tells us that God is completely perfect when he does that. We may sit here and think, I don't understand what you're up to, but he's seeing the big picture and he's bringing about his ultimate glory here so that people would come to know him as Lord and he would be the king. So that's what we see there. But we also see, what does this tell us about ourselves? Well, it tells us we got to figure out which side we're going to be on. Are we going to be part of that kingdom of God that he's establishing, or are we going to be on the other side? So there's a bit of a warning there. And so what does it call us to do? Well, I want to leave that one in your court today. I want to say, hey, just think through. If God is the king and he's bringing about his purposes. What does that call me to do? All right, guys, thanks so much for your time. I'm praying for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you back here tomorrow as we jump into something else I'm sure you'll want to see. All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow at noon. Have a great day.